Welcome back to Beyond the Subs. Today's guest, we have Ava Ghodbadpour of Pharmactive. They are a premium ingredient supplier based out of Spain that specializes in scientifically backed and rigorously quality tested ingredients. They have flagship ingredients like Affron and Liboost, and in today's podcast, we dive into all of that. So I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did with Ava Ghodbadpour of Pharmactive.
Well, Ava.
Yes, Ava.
I almost messed your name up completely. I was going to say your first name wrong and your last name wrong, but Ava Ghodbadpour.
Ghodbadpour, yes, very good.
Great.
Nice to be
It's awesome to have you on, from our notes here and just getting to know you. You're the business development manager for the U.S. and Canada at Pharmactive.
Yes.
Rather than me kind of talking about it and introducing you, do you think that maybe you could introduce yourself to the audience and
yes.
Tell us a little bit more about Pharmactive?
Yes, of course. So my name is Ava Ghodbadpour.
Oh, you said it way better than I do.
And I am the business development manager for Pharmactive. So I cover all of the U.S. and Canada, work with our distribution partners here and in Canada. And I have a background in nutrition and food science. I studied nutrition and food science in my bachelor's, and then I got my master's in food science, and I'm a registered dietitian. So my career has been in the lab, actually in the food sector initially, and then I loved it. I loved cooking. I always had a passion for that, and actually worked for a company where we would make prototypes for the pancake mixes that you see at Trader Joe's and Whole Foods. As much as I loved it, we would have these reps that would come in and tell us all about these ingredients, and I felt kind of confined in the lab, and I explored this ingredient space. Started in commodities and moved into the nutraceutical world.
Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, so started in pancakes. And then...
I started in pancakes.
That's great. And then did you, when you first broke into the nutraceutical space, did you jump in with Pharmactive, or how did that journey start?
So I actually started at AIDP, and I was at Vivian as well. It's more on the commodity, but AIDP does the more specialty ingredients. Those are more distributors, and this is my first manufacturer I'm working for. So kind of feeling
exciting.
Everything from the bottom up.
Yeah, very exciting. I obviously, prepping for this podcast, just looking at what Pharmactive does, who they are, the clinical studies, it's really impressive. So yes. I'm sure you're probably excited to start this journey with them. But do you think you could tell us a little bit about Pharmactive itself?
Yes. Pharmactive is a 14-year-old company, and it's headquartered in Madrid, Spain. So I am the only person in the U.S. in the company. Everyone else is in Spain. And it started by a CEO, Jean-Marie Raymond. And his passion was to bring natural ingredients to everyone, to everyday people, to experience the benefits and the true healing powers of these botanicals and ingredients that we have. And he truly wants to make people's lives better so they can reap the benefits of it. And they're
interesting.
Very dedicated to science, I will say that, and that's what drew me to the company.
Interesting. Yeah. Random question, but have you been to Spain?
I have a few times now.
Yeah.
And it's lovely. The people there are so warm and kind and welcoming, and it's genuine,
Right. 100%.
It's very genuine,
yeah.
Beautiful country. Beautiful
That's
architecture,
exciting. Yeah. And so they're headquartered there. Is that where the ingredients are not necessarily sourced, but what does go on over there in Spain?
So everyone is there, and all the manufacturing takes place there. So the ingredients we'll talk about today, Affron, ABG, and Liboost are all manufactured there. And we have a staff of about 57 people, and about 25% or so is R&D and QC alone. So we have a huge dedication to science and research, and we have an amazing crew of mainly women, I will say, in R&D and QC. They're very big on equality. About 55% of our upper management are women, and very diverse for, you think Spain, that everyone's going to be just from Spain in Spanish, but 57 people, there are 9 different nationalities.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and you guys are getting kind of big too. 57 is quite a bit.
Yeah, quite growing.
Yeah,
growing.
that's amazing. What about Pharmactive? When I went to the website and obviously getting familiar with it, backed by science, it almost looks like a pharmaceutical company when you go to the website because it's so technical.
It is.
Can you just tell us a little bit about that approach to business that Pharmactive has?
So we have these amazing ingredients, and you take something like saffron. It's been used throughout time, in ancient times, and it's it was novelly known for its benefits for sleep, for relaxation. I'm from Iran, and we use a lot of saffron. As an anecdote, they would say if you put too much saffron in your tea, you're going to be laughing the rest of the night. And it was just kind of something you would say. Little do you know, there's all this research that went into it, 9 clinical studies proving that it supports mood and helps reduce anxiety, helps with depression, helps with sleep. So there is a science to all these anecdotes that we see and hear throughout history.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned 9 clinical studies. I was also looking at that. It's not just. Sometimes they call it the something gold, the red gold, the
yes.
red gold. And a lot of people, when they're sourcing saffron or get saffron, it's not typically 100% saffron.
Yes.
It might be mixed with something else.
Yes, so because saffron's the world's most expensive spice, there it is, susceptible to adulterants. So, you need to make sure that the ingredient that you're getting is 100% saffron. What we do that is very different from other companies is that we DNA check every lot, and we check for colorants. Because sometimes you'll see that it's been mixed in with safflower or gardenia or different things, and even colorants to kind of make it cheaper and sell it at a higher cost.
Yeah, interesting. And then, so this is basically that Affron product.
That is our
right?
Affron.
Yeah. So, if you don't mind, maybe we could just talk about it a little bit.
We'll dive into our Affron. So like I said, it's backed by 9 clinical trials. It's standardized to 3.5% leptocrosolites and by HPLC. So, the highest standard in looking for the actives in this ingredient. Leptocrosolides is a question we get, like, what is that? It's our trademark name for the components, the bioactive components inside of Affron, which is crosins and safranal. It has a unique 2-dose response. So you can use it in application, not just for one benefit, but 2 different benefits at 2 different doses. So we have a 14 milligram dose for sleep claims and a 28 milligram dose for mood and stress.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we can use it, and you can work for so many different customers, whether they're looking for mood lifting benefits, or if it's for sleep, or for both. You can do both claims at the 28 milligrams as well.
Interesting. And then what about the typical age group? Is there some potential benefits for women, particularly maybe slightly older women?
Yes, of course. So the study breakdown that we have is there's 3 studies on sleep, 5 on mood, and 1 on menopause. We also have one study that is in adolescents. We were the first ones to have it in adolescents 12 years and older.
So it tastes good, and it has all these benefits. I had no idea.
Are you a fan of saffron flavor?
I am.
Okay, good.
Yep.
So you've had good paella and you like the saffron in it.
I love it, absolutely. And you gave me this overview of Affron, the product, And I was looking, I go, oh my goodness, I needed this yesterday and this week. I needed it for sleep. I needed it for the mood boost, for the stress support. There's a lot of people talk about mushrooms so much, and it's really nice to hear a different ingredient.
Oh, yeah.
And then with you guys is seeing how clinically backed that it is, how ethically sourced. Can you tell us a little bit about kind of your sustainability efforts?
Yes, we are a certified B Corp that we recently got back in November of 2023. So that, if you know about B Lab, which certifies companies with B Corp, they take a look at the company all throughout, from everyday living inside the office, how you're sourcing materials and everything, and making sure that you're making a conscious effort to be more sustainable, from like closing the windows when the air conditioner's on, and to make sure that we're being socially responsible and helping with our local agriculture as well.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, here we're actually outside of the podcast. I do a lot of the engineering work here, and we're putting solar on our roof.
Amazing.
So we're trying to reduce our carbon footprint and do what we can. There's huge efforts here as far as packaging and all that kind of stuff to reduce our waste, but it seems to just go hand in hand with the supplement industry.
Yes.
That sustainable, ethically sourced, nutritionally, active, because people in this industry are typically concerned about their health, and then I think that kind of extends to the health of the planet as well.
Definitely.
So, what else? Anything else on Affron that you want to tell us about? So
one of the things that people always ask is like, this sounds amazing, but how does it work? So when you think about our bodies, and particularly our brains, and what happens when you're stressed out. So how do you feel when you're stressed out? I mean, just anxious and tight, and there's so much going on in your brain that's causing these reactions, including like you have an increase in inflammatory markers. You have a decrease in neurotransmitter balance, which causes a reuptake of those hormones like serotonin, adrenaline, norepinephrine. You have an increase in oxidative stress. All these things are going on. And what Affron does is reduces inflammatory markers. It has a really high antioxidant capacity, so it helps break apart some of that oxidative stress. And it helps increase neuroplasticity. So it increases a thing called BDNF, the brain-derived neurofactors, which is almost like soil for your brain. So when you have high BDNF, your brain is able to learn, you're able to remember things, you're out of that kind of like a brain fog. And Affron was actually recently proven to help increase the BDNF in our brain.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one thing that I was really impressed by. Again, doing some research on this is looking at the claims that you guys can make.
Yes.
Typically, we service a lot of different brands, and we have to be really, really careful what we allow them to put on the labels. But just what you said, increasing neuroplasticity, I go, wow, this is...
That's strong stuff.
It's strong stuff, but it's backed by the clinical trials.
Yeah.
What types of products are brands putting this in? Is it capsule products? Is it powder products?
Everything. Because the dose is so low, it's 28 milligrams, you can put it where gummies are very, very hot right now. I think everyone's looking for a gummy application. Powders, stick packs, capsules, you name it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was for a layman like me. I was going, how much do you have to take of it? But it sounds like, you said 14 milligrams and maybe 28 milligrams for the sleep dose. The
sleep dose is 14 and 28 for the mood and stress.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'd love to keep talking about Affron because it's so interesting to me, but you've got
I got more
great ingredients.
Yes.
Let me know if I'm saying this right. It's Liboost?
Yes, like libido.
Liboost.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so Liboost is our Damiana extract, and that's actually sourced from Mexico, and everything's extracted in our facility in Madrid. So all the processes go there, and for all of these ingredients, we use a proprietary extraction process that I should kind of touch on. There are 0 chemicals. It's a water solvent extraction process. We use low heat and low pressure to ensure all these bioactive, whether it's the Affron or the Liboost or the ABG, that's all the actives remain active for the highest potency.
Can you say that again? You said water extraction?
Yes. So the only solvent that we use is water.
I see.
Yeah.
And then it's low temperature.
Low temperature.
Low temperature, so it's
and
not
highly controlled to make sure that actives that we're discussing for all these ingredients remain active.
I see. And then what does it turn into? So we take, like, say, saffron or Damiana. Real quick, maybe you could explain to me what Damiana is.
Damiana is a flower. It's a botanical that grows in Mexico, and we take that and we do an extraction process in Madrid at our headquarters.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So it's it's a flower as well.
Yeah.
So then it goes from a flower state, it goes through this extraction process, and then we end up with
Liboost is what we end up with. So this particular ingredient was initially a unisex, and it still is. The mechanism of action for this ingredient works equally in men and for women. And the consumer market study that we have, it was 51% women, 49% men. So all that being said, the U.S. and Canadian market have been seeing the demand for this ingredient in women's health products, particularly in the perimenopause and menopause category for women's sexual health and libido.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Normally, when you hear about like a libido product, I think most of the time is geared towards men.
Yeah.
This is great. It's geared towards men and women.
And women. So the mechanism of action that's working here is there's actually a 3-prong approach. What it does is it helps reduce the degradation of testosterone. So you're hanging on to more testosterone, which drives our sex drive. And then it also helps with smooth muscle relaxation, which will help work in men and women.
And what is that? It's smooth muscle relaxation. So
for women, that helps with lubrication, and for men, that helps with
yeah, I mean, Liboost
helps with the libido. Yes.
Yep.
And we also have a nitric oxide flow. So anything that increases nitric oxide helps with blood flow, and blood flow gets us going.
I see. Yeah. Is there any other benefits outside of just the libido boosting?
So its main action, because it's those 3 specific things, you will reap the benefits for more sexual desire. And how we did this is a consumer market study. So the people who were taking it, there were a few parameters that were quite interesting. The average age was about 43. You had to be in a relationship for more than 6 months to kind of have that initial excitement of a new relationship not be a factor.
Yep.
And and they also had to assess and take a survey that has 5 key areas that they were looking at. So whether it was lubrication, pain, orgasm, desire, all those areas were covered. And what we found, particularly in the women, there was a 93% increase in that desire index.
Wow.
Yeah, the female desire index was a 93% increase. And the main key point here, it's not like a pill that you pop and 30 minutes later you're ready to go. It's a 4-week consumer market study. So within that 4 weeks is when you'll reap the benefits.
Yeah, I think I was reading that most people were saying after about 4 weeks is when they felt the biggest effect.
Yes.
Which I think is typical for nutraceuticals in general. Is it takes a little while to build up in the body and the bloodstream and start affecting. This is awesome. I love the studies. 4 weeks, 83% we said we wouldn't talk about this, but 83% would repurchase and recommend the product. That's big.
Yeah, that is a big, a big boost. And a fun fact that we're actually so intrigued on this, and this ingredient is becoming so much more popular. Where the next clinical that we're investing in is a clinical for Liboost to have more biomarkers and more references, so we can have a clinical on that.
Do you know roughly how long that Pharmactive's been offering Liboost for?
It's been a few years. In the U.S., it came into the U.S. about since 2022, so it's been
so that's
few
pretty
years,
new.
but it's really gaining a momentum, truly.
Yeah, that's great. I think anywhere where you can get away from having chemicals or things that we don't even understand that we're putting in our bodies sometimes. A lot of these products they have ingredients in them that you don't even know what's in them.
Right.
They're not listed on the supplement facts panel. And in my mind, when you look at everything that's in nature, we're nature, we're a part of nature, but you can pull a flower, and a flower has this amazing benefit. So I'm really excited to be a part of this industry, and also to be, having this conversation with you and promoting these products because they're natural.
Yes, exactly.
I'm going to mess this up really bad, but ABG10?
No, that's perfect. Yeah, ABG10. ABG standing for aged black garlic.
Standing for
aged black garlic.
Aged black garlic.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Have you ever had aged black garlic?
I have. Yeah. I had it recently at a restaurant.
Oh, really? Yes.
And I'd never seen it before. I tried it. It was good. I thought it was delicious.
Yeah.
But yeah, can you tell us a little bit about it? Aged black garlic.
It's actually coming up more in the culinary space right now too. But as you know, this is like an ancient thing that people have been using in Asia and Egypt, also in Iran again.
Yep. Going back to what I was saying is there's natural ingredients.
Yeah.
And people have been using this stuff for thousands of years. And
yeah, people ferment them at home, and they enjoy it as a pickled garlic.
Interesting. Is when I think of black garlic, I think of I left it in the pan for too long. But that's not what this is.
It's fermented. So it goes through a proprietary fermentation process with really controlled humidity and temperatures for a controlled amount of time, which is also proprietary. But from there, what happens is we produce S-acetylcysteine, which is SAC, which is the bioactive. So this isn't in fresh garlic. It's only in an aged product.
I see. So it starts as regular garlic. It goes through a fermentation process, gets aged with a proprietary method, and then we end up with the aged black garlic, which a lot of our listeners, not me, but a lot of our listeners will be very technical, and they will know exactly what this is. But you mentioned SAC.
Yep, that's S-acetylcysteine. So one thing to touch on your sustainability topic as well. We have the fields, Castilla-La Mancha in Spain, which is only a few hours away from our manufacturing facility.
Okay.
So it's 100% Spanish garlic. A few hours away.
Oh, wow.
Comes,
farm
to manufacturing. It is a sustainable, local, and it's amazing. Beautiful fields. And I don't know if you've seen Spanish garlic before. It kind of looks more like a green onion. More so than the big bulbs that we're kind of used to. It's a little bit smaller. It's a smaller variety. But yes, SAC has
So this is grown in Spain?
In Spain, yes.
Wow, okay.
Not too far.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That is awesome. And how does it work?
So how it works, let's talk about fresh garlic versus aged black garlic a little bit, because I feel like whenever we talk about aged black garlic, people want to kind of compare it to fresh garlic. So the SAC is the main component here, and that is not available in fresh garlic. That's really important to know. We call it the social garlic because it's fermented. It doesn't have that strong acidity that we're used to in fresh garlic. It has a really, really high antioxidant capacity. And of course, it's fermented, and we see this in many different trends right now with fermentation of everything, as we see more and more benefits for our gut, for our heart, and everything for this particular product. So aged black garlic helps with nitric oxide. So it increases our nitric oxide, which helps with our blood flow, which helps provide more nutrients to our heart. It also decreases vasoconstriction, and that inhibits the conversion of angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2, thus reducing our vasoconstriction. Again, talking about increasing the diameter of our blood vessels, helping with more blood flow as well. And it has a very high polyphenol concentration, much higher than the raw garlic. And it's 10 times the gold standard of the aged black market, the aged black garlic that's already available on the market. So it's a super high antioxidant.
Interesting. Superior antioxidant capacity. So you're saying it's about 10 times of what you might find someone else offering aged black garlic.
Exactly. So comparing it to itself. And in our clinical study, this has been shown to, again, have that superior antioxidant capacity and help reduce blood pressure, both diastolic and systolic, by about 1.5 and 1.8 points, which doesn't sound like too much, but the clinical was actually done on people who were already
taking medication
and on medication.
Yes. So you're already taking hypertension medication.
Yes.
You've already have high blood pressure. You've been trying to reduce it with medication.
Yes.
And then this study was done on using aged black garlic, and it reduced it further. Reduced it further
for those having a lot of trouble reducing it in the first place. And even a small, like 10% reduction in blood pressure has been shown to help decrease your risk of heart disease and all the other issues that we can come across.
Yeah, I could see this being used by a lot of different people. I love the fact of helping people with high blood pressure. I know I typically seek out some products that improve blood flow just so I can think a little more clearly and be more awake. So that's this is a really good product.
It's actually really wonderful, and we're seeing the rise in popularity. Again, the fermentation being a big trend right now, and also we're continually doing more and more research on our ingredients. So Liboost with X, and then ABG will have more science on this as well, because we saw some promising things initially with triglycerides as well that we want to research a little bit further.
Yeah, you guys are doing another study on ABG.
In the works.
in the works. And then outside of this, you guys have a ton of other products as well?
Yes. So in the U.S., Affron, Liboost, and ABG are currently our offerings, but we do have a lot of other ingredients that are available in Europe right now. But as we slowly get into the regulatory process and bringing more stuff into the U.S., we'll have lots of amazing stuff to come.
Is that just availability here, or is it if you want to put the other products in your products and you were selling them in Europe, you'd be okay?
So anything that is being manufactured in the U.S. would have to be just these 3 ingredients as of now until we go through kind of a regulatory status. Being on the manufacturer side now, the way. We see all the regulatory that comes to play.
Yeah, that's great. Ava, thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything else that you'd want to say to our audience, or
No, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to do this, and we can share my information. So if anyone is interested in reaching out, they can get more information from us.
Great, thank you so much. This was a pleasure. So thank you.
Such a pleasure. Thank you so much.